We continue our voyage to Greece. After crossing the sole of the boot of Italy, it's time for the final 170 nautical mile leg of our journey from Crotone, Italy, to Preveza, Greece. The wind is good for the crossing, and we blast across to Greece to arrive at Preveza at dawn. First up, we attempt to check into Greece without getting our passport stamped, because we want to spend all of summer here. Luckily, we arrived during the Preveza International Jazz Festival, which was such a treat.
Just gone 5 a.m. and we've left for Greece. 10 knots at the moment. We're expecting it to get up a bit. 28 hours, maybe 33 hours to get across. It's 170 nautical miles. Heading basically due east. About 88 degrees magnetic. Wind's got up to about 15 knots now. Current's just a bit over 100, I think, and we're going along nicely between 8 and 9 knots. Everything's as per the forecast. I expect it to build maybe a little bit more wind, up to about 18 knots. Yeah, can't really see that at the moment, but I'm sure it'll come through. So it's going to be a bit fast and furious for the first few hours, and probably 12 hours. And then once we're across the middle, it will ease back a bit, I think. Still a few clouds around, so I think it's going to rise and fall based on the clouds that we're going past and the effect that they have on the wind. We've got an interesting little predicament here at the moment. We've got 2 cargo vessels, one coming at us off our port bow and one coming off us on our starboard aft quarter. Closest point of approach is 18 minutes at the front and 20 minutes at the back. We've been tracking the bearing, the one at the front. Looks like he's going to go across the front of us, but we'll get within about a nautical mile. That sort of makes me think that this one behind us will go across our stern, but I'll check his bearing very soon just to see whether that's changed to indicate that he'll go across our stern. So we'll be threading the needle a little bit. I don't have a lot of margin to alter things too much. If I come up, we'll probably have to drop the code 0 and it'll change the dynamics of the situation quite a lot. If I run down any more, we'll probably slow down, so it won't really change the closest point of approach either. So if it's looking a little bit dicey, I'll get on the radio, and if these guys don't alter their course. Our one off our port bow will go across the front. When I first started tracking, we was at 64 degrees, so now it's at 71. And this guy over here looks like he will go across our stern. Just before he was at 198 and now he's at 200. So, which means I'm going to go across his bow, which I'm not overly comfortable with, but yeah, hope he just turns a little bit to port for us. So you can see how valuable having good instruments are, be able to track the situation and make those sort of assessments. Obviously you could do that with a hand-bearing compass, but it's a hell of a lot easier with AIS and a good multifunction display. So while we're on passage like this, every hour I basically make a log entry, let's call it that, where I record our position, our heading to our destination, Preveza, and how far away we are, as well as all the other things like the boat speed, speed over ground, heading, course over ground, wind strengths, apparent winds, etc. So it just gives a good record for me about what's going on. I can compare it against the forecast to see if it's tracking against that. And if we were to lose all instrumentation, then I've still got a bearing on my destination and I sort of know how far away it is. I could be approximating distances travelled, etc. It's not that difficult to navigate ourselves to one part of the Greek coast here, but just want to keep something. So we've had pretty consistent, up to 25 knots. She's sort of sitting at 18 knots at the moment, and we've sort of got boat speeds of about 8.5 to touching on 10 knots at times. So first 3 hours, from 5:30 to 6:30, we did 7.2 nautical miles. In the following 2 hours, we've done 8.6 and 8.7 nautical miles. So we're getting along at a pretty good average speed. I think this breeze is forecast to stay in here maybe for another 8 hours. So we'll be a long way towards Preveza by this afternoon. So it'll be interesting. We might be getting in, like if we keep up this sort of progress, we might be getting in very early into Preveza. But it is forecast to die away over in Preveza as we get close to the Greek coast. Of course, that will be a little bit later, sort of on very early Saturday morning. So it depends on how fast that dies away as to what sort of time we get into Preveza. Pad we use to keep notes on is it's called a tradies pad. We bought them in Australia before we left, and it's made of stone with a little bit of polyethylene. It's completely waterproof. It's even quite hard to tear, so it's great to ride on as well. So it's ideal on the boat here. where you can get a bit of a splash, you just wipe it off the page and it's perfectly okay. Lovely day, the sun's out. As you can see, it's ideal conditions for knitting. So, hope you're enjoying these conditions, Mum. My mother sent me a message the other day saying she was watching some program about Sydney to Hobart where it got a little bit rough, and saying she hoped I never get in those conditions. Well, we're a long way off those conditions, but it's a bit of fun. Sometimes you look out the front and see the angles and you're wondering, holy shit. But the boat just carries on. It's nearly midday and 7 hours in. Might just take those off because I really can't see much through them. We've got about 20 knots, continuing on, boat speeds around the 9-10. Well, probably 8-9-10s, averaging nearly 9 knots every hour when I do my updates. We put a reef in. Yeah, we're just 2 over canvas, not really adding much. With the full sail. Hoping to, probably in about 4 hours time, we'll probably blow out the other side of this strong weather, and hopefully it'll calm down a little bit, but not too much that we end up motoring. So we've done about 65 nautical miles so far, so it's pretty good progress. It's just gone 5:40 p.m. and the wind is back down a bit now to about 12 knots. We were expecting it to back down. Still a very good breeze. So just to explain what we're doing right at the moment. When we started off the day, Preveza was at a bearing of 87 degrees magnetic. And we sailed probably about 84, and that sort of has put us on the port side of our direct course to Preveza. I did that because I wanted to run down with the breeze a little bit more, and that sort of helped reduce our apparent wind. So our true wind was sitting there for a while at 22 to 25 knots. And that helped us keep our apparent wind sort of down 18, 19, and opened up our apparent wind angle as well. So it's allowed us to carry the code 0, at a nice sort of wind angle at about, our apparent wind angle at about 90 degrees and that sort of wind speed. Now that the breeze has calmed down, Preveza is currently bearing about 92 degrees. So we've actually come up into the breeze. So our apparent wind is now about 57. And so what that's allowed us to do is now that our true wind direction is, the wind direction itself is actually not changed much all day. what that's allowed us to do is increase our apparent wind strength above our true wind strength. So apparent wind is about 14.5, where our true is about 12.5. So that gives us more drive out of the code 0, and at that sort of wind strength we can take an apparent of 50 degrees, no problem with it. If it gets much lighter, we can take an apparent all the way to 40 degrees with the code 0. So I'm expecting it to get lighter as we approach the coast and the day gets on, and so that will allow us to curl back towards Preveza as the day goes on.
I've had a pretty easy day, really. I've only just opened the book. I've done this much knitting. And I've had an afternoon nap. So I've done alright.
It's about 10 past 8, and it feels like we are going very slow after where we've been today, but we're still doing about 6.5, sometimes 7 knots. Yeah, we've got about 8.5 knots of breeze. On this angle, gives us about 11 to 12 knots of apparent wind strength. So we're moving along nicely under the code 0 and directly on course for Preveza.
Agent was just great. She was a lovely lady who took us through everything, clearly explained everything. We have to go back on Monday to pick up our crew list because it's a Saturday and the offices aren't open.
The customs office.
It's customs shit, yep. That's right. And it's all sorted. We have a 6-month transit log for Greece, which means we are able to stay in Greece 6 months travelling, which is really good news.
Yes, the whole of the summer if we want.
Yeah.
And it's looking a good place for the whole of summer.
Nice summer.
Yes.
So we will put all the details, including the agent's details. It costs everything we have in an update video of how we beat the Schengen Shuffle update 2, should we call it?
Yep.
So that we can help you. We know this is a really tricky process. We try to help people as much as possible. Of course, you're welcome to message us as well, and we can provide our experience. We're not providing expert advice, but we'll tell you what we've done.
And the experience of others. We're getting a lot of people contact us and tell us what they have done.
Yeah.
So we can give you some advice. Well, in fact, what we might do, well, in the update video, we'll put all this info down in the description so that you can go to it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on the lovely waterfront at Preveza in Greece. And wow.
Oh, there's a boat just like ours. Saturday is the charter changeover day, so we're getting boats being cleaned and then new people coming on with their suitcases. Never seen anything like this. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like cheersing it.
So we're in Preveza, and tonight we're at the International Jazz Festival in Preveza. So Kay and Lane, friends of ours from Monastir, told us about this. We saw them today.
Yeah, and it's balmy. It's like still 25 degrees at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So nice here.
Yeah.